just around. You got the mountains, you got the most beautiful city in the whole entire country. The university is absolutely, looks like it's out of a storybook. It's just beautiful. People are incredibly genuine and extremely nice. It's just a place that obviously I'd want my kids to go to school. And it sells itself. You don't have to sell anything about this place. You just got to get them here. You know, the old field of dreams. Yeah. Build it and they will come. It's already built.
What's up, guys? Dane Davis here. Shout out to Boogie Bentley, Dauber, and the Indy Kid over at Talkin VAWLS Network on YouTube. Vols fans, head over to their YouTube channel, Talkin VAWLS Network. Smash that like button and subscribe, baby. Go Big Orange.
The #1 undefeated Volunteers prepare to race onto the field. Everything is riding on this football game. So there's a special intensity, a special urgency. Here come the Volunteers. Wherever you listen throughout the world, it's football time in Tennessee.
To be the man, you gotta beat the man, and I'm saying, woo, right here.
Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. This is Talkin VAWLS Live. I felt like that was the appropriate time to say to be the man, you got to beat the man. But my name is Boogie Bentley.
I'm Dauber.
And I'm the Indy Kid.
A big, huge football game taking place Saturday night inside of Neyland Stadium. I saw today it is sold out, 102,455. Checker Neyland. The Lane train returns to Neyland Stadium for the first time as a head coach. We're going to break it down. We're going to get into it. We got a few fan questions from the Talkin VAWLS Facebook group. But let's run down the live chat. Let's see who's hanging out. Let's see who is with us here for Talkin VAWLS Live. Swamp Donkey Sniper says, what up, pimps? He must be talking to you two guys. It has to be. Short Fuse is here. What's going on? Rob's Tennessee says, somebody please hit that thumbs up. John Hill in the house says, let's go. IC86 is chanting for Dauber. All right. Well,
that's what I'm talking about.
Cool. I'll take it. That's fine. Benji Smith is in the house. Oh, I'm hitting settings. I'm hitting all the wrong buttons over here. Daniel Halter is here. JJ Banks in the house. Guys, come on in. Smash that thumbs up. Do us a favor. Go ahead and share it out. Hit that share button. Send it to Facebook. Send it to Twitter. Send it to Instagram. Tell a family member that Talkin VAWLS is live. You guys make this show what it is. We did hit 8,500 subscribers yesterday. Today, we're already rolling on to 8,600 in just one day. So we appreciate all the support and welcome to all the new listeners. But we appreciate you guys hanging out. So let's get into it. We're going to kind of bounce around. We'll go back and talk about this South Carolina game a little bit if you guys want to. But I want to jump right into it because Lane Kiffin already running his mouth, talking about the first time that Tennessee has sold out Neyland Stadium in quite some time. Lane Kiffin is going to Lane Kiffin. Indy Kid, you said it on the day after video. Give him hell when he comes out through the tunnel in Neyland Stadium.
Yeah, it's real simple. Boo his ass out of Neyland Stadium Saturday. Somebody told me in the day after to drop it. Dauber made the comment last week when we talked about it on the fall of the Vols. This guy is a big part of the downfall of Tennessee football. So, no. Boo his ass out of the stadium. If you cheer him, turn your orange in on Saturday.
Do you guys feel like this is a turning point? Because I feel like we've been here so many times. We have been in this type of situation where we have a coach. And, yeah, Josh Heupel's doing it way quicker than any of us really expected. But we have a coach that kind of starts to build some momentum. And I feel like this is that turning point. I love this coaching staff. I love Josh Heupel. I love all the coaches on this staff. Tim Banks, what he has done with the defense, we'll get into that a little bit later. But does it all come full circle, Dauber? On Saturday night, like Indy Kid just said, it all goes back to the fall of the Vols series that we did. Lane Kiffin being that big turning point to the downfall. Could Saturday night be the turning point to get this thing back in the right direction?
It has potential for huge momentum for this program. Now, is it going to be a setback if they lose? I don't know that I can say that. You're looking at a team in their 7th game under this head coach. You're looking at a roster that's depleted. You're looking at depth issues, a team that has some key guys that are banged up, and hopefully, based on what Coach Heupel said in his presser yesterday, we're going to be getting a number of those guys back tomorrow or Saturday night. So it has potential to kind of right some wrongs and show the progress that this coaching staff is making. I don't want to push ahead, and I don't want people to get all up in arms if Saturday night things don't go the way of the Big Orange, because it very well could be a loss. But you got to look at the fact that Ole Miss is a year plus ahead of this program in terms of recruiting, in terms of installing the system.
I was trying to get everybody all fired up. Dauber just lets the air out of the room, just deflates us all, gets depressing. But it does lead into this question that was in the Facebook group. Steve Truitt says, if we don't play well and lose by 14 or more, what will the majority reaction be? Indy Kid, because this fan base, everybody seems to be on board right now with what Josh Heupel and this football team's done the last 2 weeks. What will happen if they go out and lose to Ole Miss on Saturday?
If they lose by, are you saying if they lose by like
a couple of
digits?
scores? Yeah.
There would probably be some deflation, I think, no doubt. But I mean, let me get my thoughts out first. I mean, I'm with you though. I don't think, me personally, because I mean, Ole Miss is favored, and like we said, they're a year ahead of schedule on Tennessee. I personally don't see it as, I don't see it as deflating myself, but there will be people who are upset over it.
Now it depends on if it's a loss, how it goes. If you make
that's what I just said. If it's 14 or more points, people are going to be deflated. Well, if it's a close game, I mean, and they lose late.
If it's a close game and you have self-inflicted penalties and mistakes like you did against Pitt that cost you the game, that's kind of an indictment of the coaching staff like we've seen before. But I think this staff is better than what we've had before, and I think they learn from mistakes.
Let me I got to get caught up on Super Chats. It's been a while since I've done this, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. Look, the Woolly one. If you want to hang out and be a part of the show, cool. Hang out, leave your comments, do whatever you want. If you want to troll and insult players and run your mouth about Joe Milton for 60 minutes, I'll go ahead and ban you now. So if you want to hang out and be a part of the show, cool. If you want to be a dick, you'll be a dick, and we'll just get rid of you. It's that simple. This is your warning. So tread lightly and enjoy the show, my friend. Let me get caught up on these Super Chats here. It's been a minute since I've done that, but good Lord, man, I don't need to read your insults of Joe Milton for the first 10 minutes of the show, brother. Elijah Allen for 5. Thank you for the Super Chat. My friend says, hey, Vol Nation, our boys have been putting out a good product on the field and doing their part. Show up and show out. Go Big Orange. Elijah, I agree. And that's kind of, man, I feel like this fan base is starting to come together and get some excitement, which is kind of why, going back to what Dauber said and leading into the question there from one of the listeners, I feel like they need to win. It's not must win. Somebody in the chat said this isn't must win. Calm down. And it's not must win. They've just got that. It's like it feels like a turning point.
Well, it's a big game because it's better competition than they've seen the last 2 weeks. They've gone out and done what they should have done to teams in the lower part of the conference. You're getting better competition. Ole Miss has some questions on defense. Can they stop the run? It doesn't look like it. That bodes well for us, but they're going to score their points too. I think it's going to come down to turnovers, and if you can capitalize off turnovers, and as long as the Vols don't do something to beat themselves, I think they will be in this ball game all night long.
Robert, 45 Tennessee for 10. Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. Says this will not make people happy, but what Heupel has done, but has Heupel really done any better than what Butch did in his first year? Butch went 5-7. Heupel at minimum will go 6-6. Heupel has a chance to get more done Saturday.
Kind of answered his own question, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you got to let it play out. You can't really judge Josh Heupel at 1 year compared to what Butch Jones did. And I know a lot of people hate Butch Jones. And I was on board that last year. It was time for Butch Jones to go. But Butch Jones, again, going back to the Fall of the Ball series that we did, Butch Jones was close. Butch Jones did a lot of good things. Yes, Josh Dobbs saved Butch Jones quite a bit. But I think I was listening to Paul Feinbaum. I don't know why. His show drives me nuts. But they were on there talking about it and saying, Josh Heupel's probably the best X's and O's guys they've had since Doug Dickey. And we're seeing it. He is doing more with less. And I think that's why, if you're going to compare him to Butch Jones, I like what he does schematically more than what Butch Jones does.
Yeah, and I've noticed, just kind of reading comments from other fan bases who have watched Tennessee play, and these fan bases have taken notice of it too, talk about how well things are running, his play calling, what they're noticing with this team. So it's not just us who's noticing it. Other fans who have seen what Tennessee's done are taking notice of, hey, when this guy gets a lot of talent in there, I mean, there's still some talent there now, but gets a few years into this system, this thing could be a pretty good thing that they've got going on. I mean, you just think of, they're 6 games into his first year, and they're already, top 10 in the nation, 7th in scoring? Is that right?
They're at the top in just about every category. And then obviously we've talked about where Hendon Hooker's at as far as QB rating goes, but they're up there in everything, rushing yards across the board.
6 games in with an offense last year, it couldn't hardly score a point. That's pretty impressive.
And to piggyback off that, how about the defense being up high nationally and leading the conference in tackles for loss? You got to look at the job, and we talked about it Saturday. That's kind of going under the radar. You look at this offense and look at all the points we're scoring, but the job that the defense is doing, man.
What's their national rank? Do you know?
I think tackle.
Somebody just had it, 44th. So
yeah, tackle for loss. They're like 5th in the country, 1st in the conference. They've got. I wrote it down. 38 tackles for loss through 6 games. All of last season, they had 55. So that's. I like the pursuit defense and the gang tackling that you're seeing from Banks's defense. It's just we talked about it, when they hired him, he's going to gamble. He's going to take risks because that's kind of the style that is a counterpart to the offense that Heupel wants to run. Get the ball back to the offense, let them go down and score. And it's, apart from a few, busted coverages and mix-ups and a few other things, the defense has played very well. They've been a big surprise.
I'm laughing at the chat. Insult Paul Feinbaum. I listened to him for about 15 minutes, and I finally said, I don't know why I'm listening to this idiot. I can't stand him. I want to get a little bit – dude, it's bad. It is so bad. I want to get into the defense. We got a fan question we'll get into, but let me hit these couple of super chats here. John Hill for 10, defending Dauber. He says, Dauber's just being real, stating it like it is, hoping for the best. Go Big Orange. John, you're right. You're right. You're not wrong. We're just trying to run a show here and create a little hype and momentum.
I mean –
and Dauber just had to deflate the room.
I will be in Knoxville Saturday night, and I am, I'm wearing my white in a white section. So,
but see, we're held to a higher standard here. You don't just bring it for 60 minutes on Saturday. You got to bring it for 60 minutes on Tuesday. You got to bring it for 60 minutes on Saturday post game. You got to bring it 60 minutes in game. Sometimes you got to do a tailgate. You got to bring it at all times, Dauber.
Oh, I
We're not
love
going to
it.
let you bring the show down. Xavier Sanders for 5. We just have to play hard, play aggressive, and play with heart despite our depth. Go Big Orange. Yep, spot on, Xavier. Cody Branch for 2 says Tennessee will carry the L going into Bama week. Maybe Cody and Dauber can go have dinner together somewhere and spread this negativity between each other. Evan Counts for $20. That's a big time super chat. Thank you. Evan says good thing is our defense practices against the same offense that we are playing. This offense is no stranger to RD. Jeff Lebby is Josh Heupel's old offensive coordinator from UCF. We have the advantage. There is a lot of good points and a lot to unpack there, Andy Kid.
Yeah, you're right. But I could see it both ways. Honestly, Lebby's going to be familiar with what Heupel's doing as well. That is a very good point. These offenses are very similar. Where I think Tennessee's got the advantage is defense. I think Tennessee has a better defense than Ole Miss. Corral scares me though, because he can beat you with his legs and his arm, and that's something Tennessee has they've struggled with as long as I can remember, and that's not just here in the 2020s, 2010s. That's even going back to the 90s, early 2000s. They've always struggled with the mobile quarterback. I don't know. I mean, do you spy the guy? What do you do? They've got to contain him somehow. If he beats you through the air, so be it. Just don't let him beat you with his feet. But we said the same with Emory Jones, and Emory Jones had probably the best game of his career against Tennessee.
Scary part about it is talking about Matt Corral is he's not as dynamic as Emory Jones with his feet, but he throws the ball a whole lot better.
Well,
he's still very mobile, will escape the pocket, and they utilize him a lot in the red zone too.
We can't not get pressure on him and allow him to set his feet and pick you apart either.
Well, and this was an interesting talking point on Swain this morning. They were kind of going through this same exact thing and saying, last year when Corral threw 6 interceptions against Arkansas, they were dropping 8. They were only bringing 3, weren't really putting any pressure on him, and just content to sit back, and he wasn't patient. But I feel like Matt Corral now is
mature.
a way different quarterback than he was then. Swain's response to it was, you got to mix it up. You got to bring pressure sometimes. You got to drop 8 sometimes. You got to try to confuse him. But I agree, Indy Kid. I think he's the best quarterback Tennessee will face all year. I think he's better than Alabama's quarterback. I think he is the best quarterback in the country. John Hill for 10. Thank you for the super chat. Says Boogie just saying is going to be on like Donkey Kong. Let's go Big Orange. We'll all be wearing our orange tinted glasses when Saturday rolls around. But while we're talking defense, let me go ahead and get into this question because it's from Andy Bray, and we'll just kind of continue the conversation here. He says, please do a side-by-side comparison of these two defenses. And this is kind of, I did the scouting report on Monday, and spoiler alert, I picked Tennessee to win. Most of you have probably already heard it. And it's because of the two defenses. I feel like everybody's talking about the offense, right? Josh Heupel versus Lane Kiffin, going to light up the scoreboard, going to do this, that, and the other. Both of these offenses are going to go score points. It's going to come down to whose defense gets the job done. And I think Tennessee, head-to-head, when you look at these two teams, has a better defense. Ole Miss giving up 31 points a game. Tennessee giving up, I've got all the numbers right here in front of me, just a little over 21. And, I had somebody drop a comment saying, yeah, but you got to look at who Ole Miss has played. They played Alabama and they played Arkansas. Well, on the flip side of that, Tennessee's played Florida and Pitt. And Florida and Pitt are averaging more points per game than Alabama and Arkansas. And I don't know if that's necessarily a fair comparison. But for me, when I look at it, when I watch the way Ole Miss played Arkansas, they used a lot of 3-man front, and Tennessee ate Missouri alive when they used that 3-man front. And Ole Miss is giving up, let me find it. Where is it here? Yards per game on the ground, almost 200 yards a game on the ground. I think Tennessee is going to find success in the run game. I like this Tim Banks defense better than what Ole Miss brings to the table. I think that's your difference in Saturday's game.
Yeah, and I think what they're saying is that pretty much everybody's going to be back this week. as well.
Yep.
And that's a big deal. I mean, obviously, Juwan Mitchell's out for the year, but Cooper Mays is back. It sounds like Evans and Small are going to be good to go. That's big for Tennessee.
Yeah, the health and getting the guys back that have been banged up is huge. Can they stay healthy the entire game? Because we saw some issues when Mays shifted out against Florida. Running the ball got a whole lot harder. He's kind of the glue on that offensive line. It's going to be good to have those bodies back and those guys on the field back. We'll just have to see how that plays into it. I'd almost rather have a Mays out there at 85% than the next best.
You know what's weird though? Like you're right. Like obviously you're right, and I would sit here and agree with you. But then on the flip side, I'm like, man, this offense has kind of got going with Jerome Carvin at center. How much is it going to throw off, especially with Hendon Hooker? Since he's kind of taken over his QB1, now he's going to be switching up his center. This team's better with Cooper Mays on the field. There's no doubt about it. Now is just the time where I'm like, of all times that you're going to be making these changes, especially at the center quarterback exchange.
Yeah, but
something to keep in mind.
I think you got to consider who the last two opponents were as well.
Obviously, and we obviously, that South Carolina defense, good defense. Top 30 in the country coming into that Tennessee game. That's good defense. Yeah. You can make all the faces you want. The stats are the stats, man. They're a top 30 defense coming into that game. I'm not saying that South Carolina defense is better than Ole Miss. There's no doubt in my mind they're better than Ole Miss on defense.
Based off of who they played, though?
Based off of anything. Defense? You want to talk about offense, that's a different story. It ain't even close. But South Carolina's defense, hands down, better than Ole Miss. Not even close. Not even close. I'll leave that awkward moment of silence to go to some super chats here. Dustin Sellers for 5. Thank you, Dustin. So it took a few games to hit our stride. We seem to be playing our game regardless of the opponent. Need the same hunger both halves and win the turnover battle. Yeah, and I saw somebody else in the chat earlier said special teams. This is a type of game that could come down to the turnover margin, and special teams could be the winner of this football game. Straight Shooter 51 for 5. Had my son Jacob at the game last week. It was an awesome experience. Go Big Orange. Thank you for the super chat, Straight Shooter. Love hearing stories like that. A lot of people see a lot of pictures on social media, in our Facebook group, parents take their kids to games. It's what it's all about, man. It's the people that are with you when you attend those games. Robert, 45, Tennessee for 10. Ole Miss fans actually think they will roll right over the Vols. Thank you for the super chat. I don't see it. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be down to the wire. It's going to be a fourth quarter game.
Yeah, I think so as well. I'll give my pick later on, but I don't think there's going to be any going conservative this week. I think this is going to be high power, high speed, low drag this week. It's going to be fun. It's going to be nerve wracking. It's going to probably make us nervous at points of the game, but this is, we've had this one circled as a shootout. I don't see anything that's going to be different about it. I definitely think this is the best offense Tennessee will play. I would be taking some notes from what Alabama did to shut them down as well. I would be watching a lot of tape on that. Obviously, Tennessee doesn't have 5 stars everywhere like Alabama does, but still yet there was something to their scheme. What can Tennessee take from that and maybe put it to use?
Do you guys not feel a little bit better going into it, though? I know what, talking about it being a shootout there and, all in the offseason, we kept saying it was a toss-up game. Tennessee could win. But has your confidence level not changed based over the last couple of weeks? And, Dauber, I know you mentioned competition level, and it's true. But when's the last time Tennessee just goes out and takes care of teams like Missouri and South Carolina? This game feels like what we usually feel for South Carolina and Missouri.
No doubt. And for me, my questions going into the season were pretty much on the defensive side of the ball, and they've answered that. They have played very well. That's been my surprise of the year by far. So going into Saturday, yeah, I'm a lot more optimistic because I do think that is the edge. Tennessee has the edge defensively, and if they can, they're going to have to play clean football. I think they've got to play clean football the rest of the year. We've seen how they can implode and just crap the bed when they start making mistakes and bad penalties, getting behind and down in distance. But defensively, they've changed other teams' game plans. And I know a lot of that has to do with jumping out early, scoring 28 points in the first quarter. That really kind of makes a team one-dimensional. And, I hope it's not a game in the fourth quarter Saturday night. I hope it's over in the first quarter again. I mean, would you not love more than anything than to have another game that is not in doubt? And they could very well do it. I think it's going to come down to not necessarily the defense getting 3 and outs or turning the ball over on punts. I think it's going to take keeping them out of the end zone and making them settle for 3 points.
Well, and they've missed, I think it was 2 extra points on the season already. So it very well could come down to special teams. Let me get caught up on Super Chats, and then I want to come back and talk a little something about that defensive side of the ball. Undying Voice for 5 says, yes, Boogie, I said the same thing. Carvin has improved drastically at center. If he's playing good football, though, Cooper Mays comes back out there. Cooper Mays does what Cooper Mays can do. I just hope he's healthy. I just hope Cooper Mays is healthy. And, Heupel said all those guys were going to be back, so we'll see. James Gentry for 5, thank you for the Super Chat, says this just doesn't feel like the number 13 team coming into Neyland. I'm just not as scared of them like other ranked teams in the past. I feel the same way. I feel the same way. Though. No, they're not. They're not a joke, but I feel the same way. I feel the same way. And I know Arkansas is a good football team last week against Ole Miss too. I know they're a good football team, but watching that game, I'm not scared either. Maybe me and James are crazy. Maybe me and James are living in a fantasy world. We're going to find out Saturday night. Evan Counts with another $5. Thank you, Evan. Says, don't let the offense go flat the second half like we did at South Carolina. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think that was a big-time overreaction because Tennessee came out so hot. Josh Heupel kind of alluded to it, press conference, coaches show, all that stuff. He took ownership of that. He almost kind of chuckled when it got brought up on the coaches show saying, yeah, we took our foot off the gas. It is what it is. Preston Frills for 5. This is also a big week for recruiting. There will be 3 5-star quarterbacks. And Walter Nolan, I hope we make Kiffin's life hell on Saturday. Yeah, big-time quarterback. I didn't know there was 3 5-stars, but I knew one was coming in from California. But I think he's a 23, class of 23 guy, maybe. Is
that the Davis guy?
I can't remember his name. He's a California kid. I think he's a 4-star quarterback, dual threat. You'll never pronounce his last name. I can't remember his last name.
Okay, so there's a guy, Jaden Davis, I think is the name I saw coming in as well, who's I think he is a 5-star quarterback. I know the one you're talking about. I cannot remember what the name is.
I'm looking it up right now. I don't know why I'm looking it up because I'm not going to be able to pronounce it when I look it up. It's Nicholas Iamaleava, Iamaleava. He's a 4-star quarterback out of California, number 4 ranked quarterback in the class of 23. This staff is doing a good job. And yeah, they came in late. They were behind on the class of 22. And that's why I think this offseason, we've said it a million times, but the transfer portal is going to be huge. And then it's on for that class of 23 and 24. That's where this coaching staff is really going to have to prove themselves on the recruiting trail to make a difference. The Sammy P for 2 says top 20 when the Vols win. I see a lot of people asking this question. I don't like to answer it. And I told you guys my least favorite Florida memory of all time. That's why I don't like to talk about rankings after the fact. But, I mean, they should be. If they beat Ole Miss, I would imagine they will be. Okay, let me go back to defense. We were talking about that a little bit earlier. Got caught up on super chats there. Let me also say we got 335 people watching live right now. We appreciate you guys being with us. Just three dudes, not experts, not media. We're just like you guys. We're all sitting in our man caves, our offices, just hanging out, talking ball. We appreciate you guys showing up. You can help us out. Do us a favor. Right below the video, just hit that little thumbs up. All you got to do is be signed into Gmail. Hit that thumbs up. It helps the channel dramatic. You wouldn't even believe how much it helps the channel just when you guys click that little thumbs up. So we appreciate that. But I want to talk about the defensive side of the ball. Let's talk about Brandon Turnage, SEC Defensive Player of the Week, third string at the star position. Been struggling to find time to get on the field. You know, they said he was a little bit banged up throughout fall camp, transfer from Alabama. Kid comes out, balls out. Said he didn't know till Friday that he was going to be the starter. You got to find a way to get Brandon Turnage and Theo Jackson on the field at the same time, do you not? And Heupel has said that both guys can play multiple positions. We've seen Theo Jackson at safety. Safety is a position that this team is struggling at. And if you're going to get Brandon Turnage to come out, and, you know, you got to understand the star position in this defensive scheme is that's the position that's going to make the most tackles for your defense. But he still had, 12, 14 tackles, something like that? Couple tackles for loss, just and not like that's fine. Stats are stats, but I don't always put that much into it. But Josh Heupel said that Turnage, he did everything right. You know, he didn't have any busts in the secondary, so that's more important to me. But Indy Kid, do you think they're going to find a way to get both those guys on the field at the same time Saturday?
Yeah, I think so, and I think some of it will depend on how the safeties are doing as well. McCullough's been playing better ball lately. He's been getting some interceptions. Flowers has been playing better as well. So my question kind of is, where can Turnage play? Obviously, we know he can play nickel. Can he play outside? Does he, if a Burrell or a Alante Taylor, if they're not doing their job, could he go in for them? Can he play safety? What do they go at? What formations are they going with this week? Are they sticking with that star position? I don't know if I've ever seen them this year with a dime or not, but I think after the way Turnage played last week, I don't think you hesitate to put him on the field.
I think it's interesting you said, talked about them playing dime. And, we talked earlier in the show about how do you stop Matt Corral? Do you drop 8 in coverage? Do you put 6 defensive backs out there? And you've got, Theo Jackson on one side, Turnage on the other side, on the inside. And you can get creative with those guys. Maybe bring some pressure from those guys. It's an interesting point.
I tell you, I think the last 2 games have given them a luxury of getting guys reps, but it's also let them have a chance to kind of game plan and look ahead. Not that they're not necessarily keeping stuff, and holding out, running vanilla, but I think defensively, when you get up that much, you're not having to run a lot of your blitz packages. You're not having to do a lot of unique stuff because it's kind of just let's ease back and we don't have to get a lot of pressure. We don't have to, we'll change the look a little bit, but we're not having to dial it up to make a play. So that's been something that the last couple of weeks, I think, can play into Banks's hand in calling the game defensively, because he's not necessarily shown a lot of variability and changing it around. And I think that's a key. And you had mentioned it earlier. Change the look. Get in Corral's head. Mix it up so he doesn't have time to think. He doesn't know what's coming next. Change his eyes.
John Hill with a $10 super chat. Thank you, John. Says it may be where we see if Lane Kiffin or Heupel has the heavier foot, who can give their offense the most gas. Let's hope it's us.
Kiffin's not going to take his foot off the pedal, so I hope if Heupel gets a chance, he doesn't take his off of it either.
I've already attacked somebody in the chat, called somebody a dick, but yeah, they both got big balls. We're going to find out who has bigger balls on Saturday, because Kiffin against Arkansas, 4th down and 1 from his own 34 in the third quarter, up 3, and he's going for it. He does not care. He like any kid just said, he ain't going to take his foot off the gas. We'll see if Josh Heupel can keep up with it. Wes McLaughlin for 10. Thank you, Wes. Says Neyland gonna rock. That, checker Neyland 102 455. How much of an impact can that home field advantage have?
Oh, it can be huge. If you look at last year when there really wasn't a home field advantage for anybody, and then you look at a couple years ago when Oklahoma came into Knoxville, that and the 98 Florida game are probably the 2 loudest points that I think I've ever heard in Neyland Stadium. I was in the upper deck in the 98 Florida game when the field goal was missed. John Ward's no sir recall, and I swear the upper deck was shaking. And then the Oklahoma game when we were up 21-3, I think. I mean, it was so loud. And I think it can be a nasty place. And we have so much momentum and so much kind of excitement going. You hope that it starts off electric and the air doesn't go out. You hope that we either jump up big like we have the last 2 weeks, or it stays close and the crowd is engaged, and it can be a big factor.
If Tennessee starts the way they've started the last 2 weeks, Ole Miss is going to have their hands full.
Oh, absolutely.
That stadium, especially with it being a night game, that's huge for this to be a night game. That stadium will be rocking if they come out and start fast.
Yeah, and that's going to be the big thing. I mean, how does Ole Miss react to one time they've got punched in the mouth this year? They didn't respond well. So, yeah, I hope if Heupel gets a chance, I know it won't happen, obviously, but if he can put 100 on them, put 100 on them. This is a game you can't let – I don't think any score is going to be safe until it's over in this game. Even if you get up or you get down by 3 touchdowns, either team's got that quick strike ability to where they can come back fast if they can begin to stop the other one. So, yeah, I mean, if Tennessee jumps out early, they've got to keep the foot on the gas. That's just all there is to it.
But don't you think, I think everybody's probably got last week in their head. I think Josh Heupel knew he could take his foot off the gas and it didn't matter. And it felt like anytime somebody kind of got nicked up, it was more about, all right, send them to the bench. Don't put them back in. Get guys healthy. Let's get out of here. The one concern from that is, I was talking to somebody today about it. The one concern with that, if you're in a close game and you need to eat up clock, I feel like when this team slows down, they're nowhere near as efficient. Nowhere near. I think they thrive in that up-tempo, going fast. That's what Josh Heupel's known for. But I feel like it started the second half against South Carolina. Let's slow it down a little bit, and the wheels fell off. It don't work.
Yeah, that was I can't remember who it was, but we had a super chat earlier in the show that somebody said this team is coming around and they're playing their style of football, and that's what it is. You've seen when they are playing the brand of football that Heupel wants to play, that's when they see the most success. And it is that faster pace, that up tempo. I think I saw in some comments earlier in the week somebody talking about how the receivers and the backs get up and run the ball to the official in the middle of the field instead of flipping it to the guy on the side. And it's those little things that Heupel has hammered into this team's head those little tiny things that aren't necessarily football related, but it helps with the efficiency. And it's all about keeping that defense on their heels.
If Hooker comes out hot like he's done, don't change it up. Let him keep doing what he's doing. And again, Tennessee's able to do all this because I've said it numerous. They have a quarterback once again. For the first time in about 5 years, they have a quarterback again. Makes a big difference. Makes a big, big difference.
I get so excited about what Hendon Hooker's doing that I try. It's like you ever wish your life away. It's like, man, he's playing so great right now. I can't wait till next year when he can play even better. You know what I mean? It's like I'm just excited about the future for the first time in a long time.
Speaking of, sorry to cut you off, but I got to thinking about it with Lynn J. Dixon coming in to visit last week. Could this be Evans one and done? Evans has got an NFL build to him. The way he's running, maybe hard to pass up. Maybe there's a reason Lynn J's coming in.
I don't know.
Not saying he's coming to Tennessee, but to bring him in to visit.
I don't know. I think I never blame a kid for going to the NFL ever.
No.
But look what happened to Bryce. What did he end up? Undrafted free agent? Is he even in the league right now?
He's with
Bryce
the
Thompson?
Saints. I believe it's Saints.
He should have come back. He's a guy that could have benefited from coming back. So, Evans, if I was Evans, I would reach out and see. But on the flip side of that, how much money could you make coming back next year? That's what I would, I said, I never blame a kid.
I don't know with running backs. They're not as hot a commodities as they used to be.
With the NIL, I mean, it's hard to say what somebody that is coming off a hot season, a lot of potential. But here's the thing, and this is what I like from this staff. If you're not looking ahead, if you're not recruiting, you see what a la Derek Dooley, skipping a class for a position group gets you. That's the whole mess that got us in a world of hurt offensive line wise. And we've hardly recovered from that. So if you're not looking for your next running back, your next quarterback, if you're not testing the water, then you're already behind.
But it's hard to replace a Tylen Evans. But
at
the same time,
I'm not saying you're shoving him out the door,
right.
But he's going to leave at some point.
Sure.
So you got to find the next guy.
And look at the running back room right now anyway. Xavier Sanders there in the chat saying that Evans reminds him of Eric Gray. Eric Gray leaves. Ty Chandler leaves. And look how these running backs have performed this year. And Jabari Small hasn't even been healthy. And Jabari Small is the guy that we heard about all throughout camp, right? Because Evans was banged up, and that played a part into it. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Just you got to keep recruiting, keep replacing. But I wouldn't blame Evans if he did leave. Derek Rogers for 5. Thank you for the super chat. Says this is for Hooker. We finally have a Goose QB. Do we have a Goose QB, Indy kid?
That's right. He's
I
putting
try
up
to
numbers too.
Try to be funny, and Indy kid just stares at me with that blank, flat smirk. He's watching the Braves. He's not even listening to anything we say. Just kidding, Derek. Thanks for the super chat. We appreciate it. I want to hit one more fan question from the Talkin VAWLS Facebook group. If you're not in the group, just go to Facebook, search Talkin VAWLS under groups. It'll be the first thing to pop up, and just come hang out. A lot of good interaction. We also take questions every Tuesday. But Wayne Lowe says, Heupel mentioned that this is just the tip of the iceberg. Y'all think he will dig deep into the playbook and run plays never seen on film, being more creative? That's Wayne's question. I'm going to add something to it. I don't necessarily think it means he's going to dig into the playbook. What I think it means is if you guys show up, you prepare, you dial in, and you execute, this is just the tip of the iceberg of what we can be. I think that's more of what he meant from that statement.
The tip of the freaking iceberg.
Sorry, excuse me.
Well, I mean, it is. It's because they're really just these last 2 games are easily their best 2 games on the offense of the season. So, yeah, they were just getting started with Missouri. And frankly, based on how they had that South Carolina game in tow, it was over at the end of the first quarter. Maybe it's not the worst thing in the world that they saw some adversity in the second half. And he mentioned that there's things they can take from that to work on. Maybe it's not the worst thing in the world last week, because you would rather have that adversity in a game you have under control opposed to like Pitt or Florida.
Yeah,
where the Pitt game, it cost you the game.
You're not chasing points.
Exactly.
I like the fact that they punched one in the fourth quarter too.
You can take a couple body blows, and then, like you said, just come back and score again in the fourth quarter. And it got a little tight, but you bounce back. You recover from all that happening. And, again, they played relatively clean football. And that's – I've said it for 3 weeks now since the Florida game, and all the negative stuff that came up in the third quarter and the rest of the second half against Florida. The penalties, the personal fouls, the turnovers. They've limited that the last 2 weeks. And that's been a big key to how successful this team has been. Because when you get down behind the chains, when you get second and long, third and long, this offense isn't built for that. It's built to pick up, a big chunk of yards on first down, 6-7 yards on first down, get up on the ball, and then you take a shot. And when you come back on third down and you've got a short, obtainable down and distance to pick up if your shot isn't there. And the way Hooker has played, his decisiveness and his efficiency that's really what has impressed me offensively the last 2 weeks. The way he's ran this offense has been brilliant.
He's improved the more he's taken first-team reps. You see a huge difference. Difference.
Well, and you even look at go back to last week. The first drive down the field, we had more than one drop. I think a drop and an overthrow, but we still drive down the field and score.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, earlier in the year when Milton was quarterback, we didn't recover from those overthrows and drops. It ended up, you're punting it away. So that shows kind of the dig and the fight in this team to be able to, okay. And I like that Hooker first play, I think was Hyatt dropping the ball, went right back to him and made a catch for, it was a big gain on the next play.
Do you all think that it has helped also that they've shortened the wide receiver rotation? Because it's mainly Tillman, Valus, and Peyton. I mean, we saw Hyatt a little bit more this past week, but it's mainly been those three guys. I can't help but think that helps a little bit too.
And moving Valus to the inside, I think really, really, really has made a difference for him. Peyton, they hit that deep ball, and then he seems to be irrelevant after that. I don't know why they don't go back to him. It's strange, but I feel like Valus is playing really good football. Tillman's playing good football. But
the coaching staff, Hyatt make a couple plays last week.
Yeah.
Maybe that gets him going.
Yeah, that catch he made in the end zone was fantastic. But I think it was the coaching staff talking about earning trust in guys, and the coaching staff is figuring out who they can trust and who they want to use, and it seems like that's where they've kind of narrowed it down to those three guys. Let me hit this super chat.
Go ahead. I was going to say I saw some people mention D. Beckwith, of course. Jerry Mack addressed him yesterday at the quarterback club. Basically, it basically goes back to what you just said. That's why I thought of it is I don't think they trust him right now. That's what I gathered out of the comments. That basically he's just not ready as a run by. I know we've seen a couple carries and he's ran hard, but he was asked point blank about it, and he said that they like his potential and how he will be, but Beckwith's not going to be a factor anytime soon. Not based on what I gathered out of it.
I'm to the point with Beckwith where we were with Harrison Bailey a couple of weeks into the season. Like, I'm to the point, there's really no sense talking about it. And look what you're getting. Instead of talking about where's D Beckwith, I would rather talk about look what Whitehead's doing when given the opportunity. He's running the football hard. He looks good. Get Jabari Small healthy and let's go. You know, I mean, and I hope D Beckwith turns it around. I hope he turns out to be a great football player for Tennessee. But I just think there's certain people that, you know, everybody wants to talk about. And we don't know what's going on, but if Jerry Mack's telling you that they don't have his, you know, the trust, that's all I need to hear. John Robert Tolker teen for 2, been a while, says, hey guys, been a long time, happy to catch you. Love, he says, love.
We love you too.
I think he's talking to Indy Kid.
Hey, love you too, John.
Just kidding, John. We appreciate the super chat. Good to see you live. It has been a minute. Glad to have you in the chat. Along with 374 of our closest friends. We got 374 people watching live. Got about 219 thumbs up. We're getting ready to roll into some predictions here. If you haven't done so yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. Just hit that thumbs up. Help us out. We would greatly appreciate it. Also, just going to make a quick plug, and then like I said, we'll roll into some predictions, and then we'll get out the door here. But if you want to show some real support, go to bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. We got all kinds of merchandise, different logos, color schemes, styles, all that good stuff. Dauber's got one on now. What do you got on? You got the State Pride t-shirt on, I do believe.
Yeah. Yep.
We got these new flat bill hats in, toboggans, all kinds of good merchandise. Go check it out. Like I said, any and all support is greatly appreciated. I've said it before on live streams, but I'll say it again. We don't make any money off of this merchandise. What happens? You guys pick up merchandise, it kind of builds up a little bit. We cash it out, and then we usually give away 3-4 shirts, and it's all just a wash. So go pick up some merchandise. We'll do some giveaways. Probably do a giveaway when we get to 10,000 subscribers, I would imagine. We're getting close. I don't know. We got to give away something big. Got to give away something big for 10,000. You guys help us get to 10.
Mow your yard.
What?
Boogie
I don't even
mow somebody's yard.
I don't even mow my yard. Mrs. Boogie
Mrs. Boogie mows the yard.
What are you talking about, Andy, kid?
Wow.
I'll be sitting on the back deck for a cold rum and coke and just watch her mow, man. I'm living the dream, brother. I am constantly working on Talkin VAWLS. I got to have somebody else mow the yard so I can come up with schemes and scams to get us to 10,000 subscribers. Philip Scow for 5. Thank you for the super chat. Says predictions: Tennessee 59, the other Mannings 49. I would take that. Philip. I dig it, and we'll just go ahead and use that super chat to roll right into predictions. I do mine every single week. Indy Kid drops the day after on Sunday. It's one of the best videos on the channel because it's basically Talkin VAWLS live condensed into 10 to 15 minutes. With a little less emotion. So check that out on Sunday. And then Monday, I come and I bring a scouting report. I won't lie, man. I hope you guys dig it because I spend a lot of time. It takes more time than the live shows do to do a little bit of research, get some numbers together. And then I make my predictions there. So I always go first on the live stream. And like we talked about all night. Everybody's talking about the offense. It's going to be a shootout. Going to light up the scoreboard. Ole Miss favored by 3, I think it is. I've seen 3 to 4, depending on where you look. Over under around 85.5. I think the defense is where it's at. You know, we've already touched on all these talking points. I think Tennessee has an advantage on the defense. What Tim Banks has been able to do, you know, the guy's earning his paycheck. He is earning his paycheck. But again, can he find a way to slow down Matt Corral? Is he going to drop 8? Is he going to bring pressure? That's why he gets paid millions of dollars, is to figure out how to stop Lane Kiffin and Matt Corral. But again, the bottom line for me is defense and Tennessee's ability to stop Ole Miss more than Ole Miss can stop Tennessee. I'm going VAWLS 45, Ole Miss 42. It may come down to special teams or turnovers, something crazy down the stretch. We're going to be nervous for 60 minutes on Saturday night, but I'm taking VAWLS 45, Ole Miss 42. You guys go ahead and drop your predictions in the chat as well. Let me hit these 2 super chats, then we'll get Indy Kid's prediction here. Drew Truesdale for 10 says we need constant pressure on Corral, and Neyland needs to be extremely loud. I want Ole Miss fans to cry. I want Lane Kiffin to say something stupid right before the game and then get his feelings hurt. That's what I want. Just like that Alabama game. John W. Bell the fourth. What's up, John? Glad to have you on the show again. $5 super chat. 72-0. Put some stank on that turd. Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiff. Tart. My prediction. Go Vols. Thank you, John. We appreciate it. Indy Kid, what do you got this week?
Gonna be a fun game. I'll make a fun prediction. I was kind of looking over rushing statistics. I think that's what it's going to come down to on it. Ole Miss actually ranks a little higher. Tennessee's got more yards than Ole Miss rushing. Let me pull it back up here. I had it just up. Ole Miss is ranked 5th in rushing offense. Tennessee ranks 7th. Yards per carry, pretty close. They're actually a little more. Tennessee has more yards. Of course, Tennessee's played one more game as well. Who can shut down the run more? I think both teams are going to throw. I think this Tennessee backfield, especially with Cooper Mays back, has the capability to have a monster day. I really do. Not saying Ole Miss doesn't, but Tennessee has been pretty solid against the run this year. They've been pretty solid. Freddie Freeman just hit a bomb, 5-4 Braves, bottom of the 8th.
The more important things right now on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, 58. Tennessee 58.
Shoo.
I said I'm going to make it fun. I don't know if I really think this score is realistic, but I'm going to say Tennessee 58, Ole Miss 48.
So you're saying maybe we'll be able to breathe a little bit.
Yeah, it'll probably end up being 17-14 or something.
Be like that Alabama game, 6-3.
3-2. 3-2. Man, for me, it's going to come down to defense as well. And the big key for me is third down. If you look at third down this season, Tennessee, they're converting third downs at 49%. They're 40 of 81 third down plays. Defensively, they're holding opponents to 38% on third down. So they're getting off the field on third down. And I think that's what it's going to come down to. I think they're going to do just enough defensively. They're going to get a stop on third down and make Ole Miss settle for a field goal instead of going for 7. I've got the Vols getting the W Saturday night in Knoxville, 41-38.
Now, if we all had to bet our life savings, would we take Tennessee or Ole Miss? All right. Well,
so we have to.
Yeah, if you had to bet your life savings, who you taking?
Oh gosh, probably Ole Miss.
I don't know, man. I feel good.
Life savings, so.
I don't feel as good as I did. Look, I was way out there on record the last 2 weeks of how confident I felt that Tennessee was going to win. I took a lot of crap for saying that I felt so good about that Missouri game. Took a little bit for the South Carolina game, not as much after that Missouri game. I feel good about this one. I don't feel as good. I feel like this is truly a toss-up. What makes me nervous is it reminds me of the Pitt game. That's the same feeling that I have is that Pitt game. That's what makes me nervous. It's going to come down to the wire. Does Josh Heupel and this football team grow from that loss and get it done on Saturday? We'll figure it out. We are going to wrap this one up. One last time, if you have not done so yet, please smash that thumbs up. Most of you have. Man, you guys got it up to 264. That's amazing. We appreciate it. We appreciate you guys just being here. Almost 400 people hanging out on a Tuesday night. Absolutely amazing the way you guys have helped this channel grow. We say it all the time, but we mean it. Like it's amazing that you guys are here just to hear what we say. We try to make the show about you guys. I hope you guys realize that. I hope you realize that it's authentic. Like we want you to be a part of the show. And sometimes it is hard when there's 400 people here for you guys to let your voice be heard. But, we truly do the best we can to make you guys a part of the show. Any and all support you guys give us, We love you guys. We appreciate it. Share out the shows. If you follow us on Twitter, you can see the handles there going across the bottom, our personal accounts or the Talkin VAWLS account. If you see us promoting a video or a show, retweet it, like it, share it. It's, this is a grind. We all take time away from our families to do this. We enjoy it. Don't get it twisted. We do enjoy it, but it is a grind. And it's a numbers game. There are so many people out here now trying to do the same thing that we've been doing for 5 years now. A lot of fan shows popping up with Tennessee athletics. So hit that thumbs up, share it out, retweet it, hearts, Facebook. If you see a post on Facebook, like it, share it. It's a numbers game. Any and all support is greatly appreciated. But that's going to wrap it up. Make sure you join us Saturday, an hour before kickoff for the tailgate show. Going to have a bunch of you guys on. The members of the channel get access first to come on, hang out before the show. If you want to join, it's right below. It's right beside subscribe. Just hit that join button. It's 99 cents a month. We'll get a bunch of guys on hanging out. We'll be live also immediately following the show or following the game for Talkin VAWLS Live. But again, man, I know I'm rambling, but we truly do appreciate you guys and all the support that you give us. But that is going to wrap it up for this one. He's Dauber. He's the Indie Kid. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.
The songs how like me, poets sat in our chains, soaking food.